Big games this weekend as the NFL moves toward mid-season. There's my top five. Peter King's on the right. He's got the Chiefs at number one. I got him at number four. And he's got the Seahawks all the way down at number five. I've got them at number one. But we agree on one thing. The Titans at number two, and the Titans hosting the Steelers. The first game, Peter, that was rescheduled because of COVID-19 issues, and actually it's better now than it would have been a few weeks ago because the Steelers are 5-0. The Titans are 5-0. And it feels like these are two of the best teams in the league, two of the best teams in the conference. Whoever wins is going to be one of the only remaining unbeaten teams in all of football. And the question then becomes, are they in a position to claim that they're the best team? But this is going to be an old school 70s style, I hope, football game with some good defense, but surprisingly, very potent offense by the Tennessee Titans. They had 600 yards against the Texans last week, and they've got today's Jim Brown / Earl Campbell, but they also have a guy in Ryan Tannehill who, after 9 years in the league, has finally become a franchise quarterback.
Well, Mike, you consider that, Tannehill, since he took over the job 1 year ago this week, is the highest rated quarterback in the NFL, and he's number one in yards per attempt, which is a respected stat by offensive people in the league. I think the one thing about this game that really is interesting, every week you see Ben Roethlisberger playing a little bit better and getting a little bit more comfortable with his surroundings. And now you look at Tannehill. To me, Tannehill, who would have thought, basically Tannehill and Ben Roethlisberger are on equal footing entering this mega game? Well, they are. You can say for as long as you want, I still don't believe in Tannehill. It's like you don't believe there's a coronavirus. The guy has been absolutely terrific since he came on board. When you're the most efficient quarterback and you got the stat in your corner that says you're the best guy throwing downfield, those are the two things that you want out of your quarterback. One other thing about the Steelers, I'm so interested to see Roethlisberger's development with these young receivers. Even though some of them have been bouncing in and out of the lineup now because of injury, I want to see him. It's not just the Juju show anymore. It's Deontay Johnson, obviously Chase Claypool. Both of these teams, Mike, you look at them and you say, well, they both really want to run the ball, and I think they do. But I think they both can win the game if you shut down their run game.
You've got the Steelers at number five in your top five, tied with the Seahawks. Why are the Steelers that low on yours?
I want to see more of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And, I guess I should love the Steelers more after last weekend when we all thought Cleveland was good. But that's the thing in my head. I don't really trust Cleveland. I definitely don't trust Baker Mayfield. And so to me, I want to see a little bit more out of the Steelers. And again, all of these things really are based on what have you done for me lately. Like right now, today, the snapshot in my head of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did to Aaron Rodgers, I can't unsee that, Mike. And I understand they've got two losses. And, and last week they lost to the Bears and looked feeble. I get it. But in my opinion, I base my top five right now on what I have seen most recently and who I would trust today, to win a game if these teams played each other.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have a very good defense. The Titans have a very good offense, and they've got Derrick Henry. I mentioned him a minute or two ago. I'm fascinated by the way the Steelers are going to play that offense, the Bill Belichick approach, take away what they do best. Well, the problem with the Titans is if you take away Derrick Henry, how do you take away Ryan Tannehill? And if you take away Ryan Tannehill, how do you take away Derrick Henry? I think it all starts with stopping. It starts with stopping the run. That's what Cam Hayward told me last week when they beat the Browns. We got off the bus stopping the run, trying to create frustration. And the thing about Derrick Henry, the flaw in his game, if there is one, is that he needs 2 or 3 steps to really get going. If you can force him to the outside, if you can keep him from getting ahead of steam and knock him down close to the line of scrimmage, he never really gets a chance to kill you. Now, if he gets past that first level, you're done. But you have to get to him early, and I think the Steelers have the brain power in the coaching staff to figure out ways to do it, and they have the athleticism and just the raw brute strength in their front seven to make it happen, especially with Taylor Lewan out for the year for the Titans with a torn ACL. But I think that's going to be the key. We're going to see the Steelers try to stop the run and try to force Ryan Tannehill to beat them. Baker Mayfield wasn't able to do it last week. Ryan Tannehill's playing a lot better than Baker Mayfield right now. We'll see if Tannehill's up to this specific challenge.
I thought what was so interesting about Derrick Henry in that game last week, everybody is entranced, and rightfully so, by the 94-yard run and the 53-yard pass reception. I mean, how absurd was Derrick Henry last week? But, the thing that really interested me on the key play, one of the key plays of the game, obviously, the 5-yard touchdown run out of the Wildcat formation. The thing that intrigued me about that is he looked exactly like Le'Veon Bell on that play. You know how Le'Veon Bell will, sort of run to the outside and he'll look and he'll pause for a minute and you say, hey, come on, dude, let's go. But he wanted to see exactly what hole he was going to attack. And when Ty Sambrailo, who had taken over at left tackle, for what's his name, who got hurt, when he makes the key seal block, Taylor Lewan, when he makes the key seal block on that side, that was the sign right there for Derrick Henry to burst through that little gap and to score the touchdown. So, I do think Taylor Lewan is a very big loss. And now, Mike, it's not just Lewan, but now you're playing without Lewan on the left side, without Conklin, who's in Cleveland, on the right side, and you have two new tackles from your great playoff run of last season. So this is going to be an adjustment for Tennessee.
Yeah, look, I've gone back and forth on this one. I ultimately think the Steelers are going to find a way to win it, and that's in part because I'm scarred by what they did to the Browns last week when I thought the Browns were ready to show the Steelers a thing or two about who's good and who's not good in the AFC North. Well, the Steelers are good, and the Browns, at least when they're playing their AFC North rivals in Baltimore and Pittsburgh, are not good, not nearly good enough, losing 38-6 and then 38-7. All right. Seahawks and Cardinals, the game that's been moved to primetime on NBC. I love me some Kyler Murray. I also love Russell Wilson. We keep looking for the next Tom Brady-Peyton Manning rivalry, and typically it's going to be guys in different divisions who are more likely to encounter each other in the playoffs because that's when this rivalry between quarterbacks really builds legacies and locks in and has high drama. But we're going to get Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson twice a year indefinitely. We get it on Sunday night. Here they are talking about each other from earlier in the week.
He's a phenomenal football player. He can really throw it. He can spin it. He can run around. He's quick as a cat. He's just moving around like crazy. I got to know him a little bit through the draft process and got a lot of respect for him and his competitiveness. And we're going to get to play against each other for many years, and it's going to always be a lot of battles. So, I'm proud to see just his work ethic and success and doing it for the shorter guys. But he's been special for sure.
Yeah, he really is short. He's shorter than me. I was so happy the day I met Kyler Murray. Because I'm about Russell Wilson's size. But Kyler Murray, whatever they had him listed at, whatever they said he weighed. Remember, we went to the combine, they said he weighed 205. There's no way, unless he had a bowling ball in his pocket, there's no way this guy weighs 205. But he is spectacular. And I think the fact that he's so small in stature makes what he does even more impressive. He knows how to manipulate a defense. He just has that uncanny ability to run by players. He knows when to get down for his own well-being. It's going to be fun to watch what he is able to do on Sunday night, and also what Russell Wilson can do. It's not like the Cardinals' defense is the 85 Bears. They've lost Chandler Jones for the season. Budda Baker was very good on Monday against the Cowboys, but it was the Cowboys with Andy Dalton with an offensive line in tatters. This Seahawks offense is great. 2 weeks to get ready for the game. Cardinals turning around on a short week. Actually, the few extra hours, I don't know if it helps them or not. It probably doesn't help much, but, getting it bumped into prime time gives them a full 6 days from when they played their last game, as opposed to the Seahawks getting a full 14. This is one that I believe the Seahawks are the better team right now. But you know what? They were the better team last year, and Arizona went up to Seattle and beat them there when the Seahawks were playing for a hell of a lot. So I'm not going to write off the Cardinals automatically. I think they can give them a game, and I think they're going to give us a lot of points on both sides of the ball, Peter.
Yeah, you know what? Seattle, one of the reasons why I don't know about Seattle yet. I know we're talking about them going, maybe getting Antonio Brown. Man, I'll tell you what, if I were them, I'd want to activate Snacks Harrison soon, and I'd want to get an outside presence in the pass rush game, with the trading deadline if I could. But, two things about this game. I always think back to the first time I met Kyler Murray. It was at Cardinals camp in 2019. I watch a practice. They practice inside their stadium, and I wait for him after practice, and I introduce myself, shake his hand, and he goes, "Yeah, I know you. I've seen you on the internet." And I thought, now that is an interesting way to have met somebody and to know somebody. Yeah, I've seen you on the internet. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, Mike, watching him on Monday night, I said, I'm serious. I was going to bed at halftime. I could barely make it through halftime. But I watched him, and I just said, man, I want to stay up and watch more Kyler Murray. He is a barrel of fun to watch play the sport of football. And the more I watched him that night, the more I said, look, he's not an accurate downfield thrower right now, okay? But he creates so many problems for a defense with those legs. I just think he's a fascinating player. I'll sign up to watch him every week.
And, Peter, it reminded me of the Rams-Ravens Monday night game last year when the Ravens were blowing out the Rams, but you kept watching to see what Lamar Jackson was going to do next. I want to watch and see what Kyler Murray is going to do next. I don't care what the score is. One thing that Chris mentioned earlier in the week, now this is based on his experience as a quarterback, not as an orthopedic surgeon because he ain't one, but he says keep an eye on that arm of Kyler Murray. He just detected in his body language something that suggested maybe he's got some sort of tendonitis or something going on. And he noticed just little things like when Kyler Murray walked off the field, he was unbuckling his chin strap with his left hand, even on his right side, where the easy thing to do is pull your right arm up and pop it there. That's the logical thing to do. When you're using your off arm to do something like that, it suggests that maybe there's some discomfort in that arm that you use to throw the football. So it's just something to watch. He still was very effective, but it's one of those maybe chronic things that will linger, that could maybe get worse, that maybe at some point we see him leave the game on Sunday night. But keep that in the back of your mind. There could be something there. He's not on the injury. He's not on the injury report, but it's something Chris noticed, and I give that plenty of credence. Are you buying the Cardinals, though, at this point? 1 to 10, where would you put them? With 10 being really good.
5.5. 5.5. I mean, I think they're a 9-7 team. It might be good enough to get the 7th seed. But, I mean, first of all, it's easy to say in a vacuum, yeah, they're a 9-7 team. I mean, that is one of the best divisions we've seen in a while. That's the anti-NFC East. So, every game you play in that division, home or away, every one you can lose. Now, obviously, they had the huge win at San Francisco, early. But my point is that you have to look at every game you play in that division as, I don't want to say a mega game, but as the kind of game that you could lose and it wouldn't be a shock. So I think 9-7 would be a great accomplishment this year for the Arizona Cardinals.
All those years that they were stuck in the NFC East when the Giants and Washington and Dallas and Philly were good and there were just the Cardinals. Wouldn't they love to go back there right now? I mean, this idea of going 5, 6, and 5, they'd love it. Put us back in the division where we never fit geographically. Even when we were in St. Louis, we shouldn't have been in there. We definitely shouldn't have been in there once we moved to Phoenix. But right now, they'd be the best team by far in the NFC East. I feel bad for the Cardinals, and I really want them to have a chance to become as good as they can be, and I want to see Kyler Murray play all the time. I'm happy that we get Seahawks Cardinals in prime time. Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, I am too. I think that's really good. It'll be great. It'll be great to watch. It'll be great to watch. Although you're right, I really did want to see Brady v. Gruden. I mean, that would have been fun, if only because you know what I really wanted to see, Mike? I wanted to see Fred Gaudelli and Drew Esikoff and what they were going to come up with for the Tuck Rule game. You know, what sort of fun little visages, you were going to see Sunday leading into that game, because obviously that is a game that will live in infamy for every Raiders fan. That's worse than you know what? It's not worse than the Immaculate Reception, but it's very, very close. And I think every Raider fan of this era, of this generation, that's the one loss in sports they'll never get over.
Now, it is possible we are going to see that game. Let's not just gloss over the reality that this game may be played on Tuesday night or part of another Monday night doubleheader, which would be the fourth of the year.
Selfishly, I want it Tuesday.
I tell you, hey, Peter, they've discovered plutonium by accident with this. And as I'm telling you, or by necessity, as the case may be, but as legalized sports wagering continues to spread, the NFL is going to understand the value, especially when we get to the point where they solve the latency issue and people can pick up their phone and they can make real-time bets during games. The NFL is going to realize there's more money to be made by everyone if they break out games from that 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock cluster on Sundays and find other windows. This Tuesday night window, or this other alternative Monday night game on a regular basis, I'm telling you, they're going to realize this is what they need to do. And we're getting used to it. Where's our extra early week primetime game? We want one, even though it's the result of some sort of COVID-19 complication. We're not complaining about why we got it. We just want it. I'd love to have that Buccaneers-Raiders game now moved to Monday night or Tuesday night.
Now, Mike, I had somebody, who knows a little bit about the television business and who knows about the NFL television business tell me, watch out for one of the streaming services now that everybody has to remember in 2021 and basically 2022, when these contracts basically are in play. And I think it gets done before 2022. But someone told me, do not think that it's out of the realm of possibility, in part because of the 17th game that the NFL will start playing next year. So basically, you've got 16 more games to sell, in the next television contract. And they told me, do not be surprised if a streaming service such as Amazon, if a streaming service takes not just 1 or 2 games, or not just being, an extra feed, on the Thursday night games, okay? Don't be surprised to see them actually take a package of games. And Mike, I think this is wrong, and I think the Players Association would have to have something huge in return. But how about a streaming game every Tuesday night at 8:15 p.m. on one of these Amazon, Google's, Facebook, whatever it is, say 10 weeks a year, and then you do some huge favor, you do some huge trade with the NFLPA, to play games on Tuesday night. And look, I'm not saying that it will happen or it won't. I have no idea, but all I know is that watching this extra game on Monday and the game on Tuesday has really started to make me think, why not Tuesday?
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and we may get Buccaneers-Raiders on Tuesday. We're getting 49ers-Patriots, 4:25 Eastern on Sunday. First time the 49ers go back to New England since 2012 when they were bedeviled on a Sunday night by Colin Kaepernick. Now it's Jimmy Garoppolo, second-round pick in 2014, traded 3 years ago, going back to New England. Here's a little Jimmy G on the Patriots and a little Bill Belichick on Jimmy G.
I mean, my time in New England was awesome. I enjoyed every bit of it, and got me to where I am at today.
I'm glad that it's worked out for him in San Francisco. I hope it doesn't work out on Sunday, but otherwise, happy that he had the opportunity to play for a great coach and a great organization and play on a great team. I think he deserves that.
Well, he got that opportunity, and he carried the 49ers to the Super Bowl last year, even though he was Bob Greasy for much of the postseason before the Super Bowl game, handing the ball off repeatedly. All he needed was the glasses that Greasy used to wear during games. But this is Jimmy G's chance to come back, and this is Belichick's chance to show what he learned from Jimmy G in practice. That's the one thing I can't get away from. There's no one who's going to have filed away any and all of the things that he noticed from Jimmy Garoppolo that could be exploited in the future, especially once he knew at some point in 2017 that he's probably going to be trading this guy. Let's beef up our dossier of Jimmy G information that we're going to have to use at some point. Of course, when you trade him out of the conference, that some point is several years down the road, but now that time has come, and Bill Belichick has to retreat to his notes and see what he's got on Jimmy G. And that's one of the reasons why I think the 49ers may have a hard time on Sunday.
You know how fast the NFL world spins, because who would have thought that in 2012, when Colin Kaepernick went up to Foxborough on that ugly, cold, rainy night, who would have thought that Colin Kaepernick would have such a short shelf life? And I can't help but think right now, Mike, that I'm not saying Jimmy G is playing for his job necessarily in the next few weeks, but if he plays this year the way he played in January, I'm not saying he will, but he is yet to really prove himself totally. You think he's going to be the quarterback for the next 10 years in San Francisco, but you really don't know. And how amazing would it be if you look at the 49ers in 2012, they have their franchise guy in Kaepernick. And then now 2020, they got their franchise guy in Garoppolo. Who's going to be their quarterback in 2024 when the Patriots play in Santa Clara? Against 90-year-old Bill Belichick.
Well, and hey, I still think there's a way the dominoes fall that Jimmy Garoppolo ends up back in New England. This is all on Jimmy G as to whether or not he's going to secure his future with the 49ers. 1 week it looks like he will. 1 week it looks like he won't. They considered Tom Brady and told him they were considering Tom Brady, which is kind of a nice way of saying, you better step it up or we're going to explore our options every year until we decide to go in a different direction. So this one has just the potential to show us where Jimmy G is, what Bill Belichick has retained by way of dealing with Jimmy G. And the one reality, it doesn't matter. Maybe he does morph into Bob Greasy again this weekend because Bill Belichick is concerned about that 49ers running attack. And something Sims has been saying all week, you don't have the defensive linemen in New England currently that can thwart it. So maybe it will just be run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball from every different position, running back, fullback, tight end, receiver. And the Patriots just can't stop it, Peter.
Yeah, I think this game could really go either way, and I mean on the scoreboard and philosophically. Because right now, look, I think Bill Belichick said it absolutely right after the game. He wasn't making an excuse. He was just simply saying, we need to practice, period. Look at Cam Newton, okay? So Cam Newton basically has the month of August to practice with his new team and to win the job. He doesn't practice with them at all in the offseason. But he's got the month of August to practice with them. And then he's there basically for September. And then, bang, COVID. Okay? So I still don't know exactly how often in like a 14-day span that Cam Newton actually practiced or was able to be a fully functioning physical human being. So you still don't really know what Cam Newton is with this offense. And if you saw him last weekend, Mike, and you saw them sort of rely on the crutch of the Edelman option pass, you say, oh my God, this is terrible. Because the Patriots' weaponry is awful. We know that. It's not deep in any way, shape, or form. And so they need Cam Newton to be that multiple weapon every single week, where you don't know if he's going to run it 13 times or pass it 36 times. That it's incumbent on the Patriots to build that. The only way you do that is with practice, and that's why I think that this week had to have been a very comforting week for the Patriots to be able to go out and practice.
Another issue, too, Mike Reese of ESPN.com pointed this out. The receivers are not getting separation. That's part of the problem as well for the New England Patriots. So practice, yes, they need to be able to get on the field. They need to be able to get ready. They need to be able to get their guys better, especially when it's a work-in-progress type of a team that is going to be better in November and December. You know, I keep the Patriots relatively high despite their record in my power rankings because I think they will get better the more they're together, the more they get comfortable, and the more that they're able to practice and play. And that you look at the great teams right now in the AFC, Peter. Ravens, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs. The last team any of them will want to see the first round that they play in the postseason is the New England Patriots because they're going to be dangerous in that single elimination setting. When we get to January, they're not as dangerous now, but they're going to be better and they're going to be a tougher team to beat when it's time to put your entire season on the line based on the outcome of one game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.